Today we're going to spend more time learning how to read line plots. And we're also going to learn how to create our own line plot using data that we see in a table. So with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, you're going to be working along with me. So make sure you have those materials out. Let's take a look first at this table here and what kind of information it tells us. Betty measures the heights of her plants. The results are shown in the table. And here's the table where we see the results. So plant height data. So she has 6 plants, and this tells you the height of each plant in inches. So this would be 4.5 inches. Plant number 2 is 6 inches, and so on. Okay. Now, we can take that information and we can put that on a line plot. By putting that in a line plot, we can see different information. So by putting this information in a line plot, we can easily see what is the most common plant height. Is there a most common plant height? Which plant height seems to be the least common? Or which one, then we can easily look at it and we can say, okay, how many plants are greater than 3 inches tall? Or how many plants are less than 5 inches tall? It's really easy to see that when you make a line plot. You can still see that information by looking at the table, but it's harder to find than if you were to show it on a line plot. So what I'd like you all to do is I'd like you to draw a number line, one that looks just like this one here. So straight line across with 2 arrows on each side, and label it. You're going to want to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tick marks on your number line. And label them. 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. And you don't have to name your line plot. You can see that it's named here as plant height data in inches. Just know that when you create line plots, just like any other graph, it's important that they have a title. But you don't have to write it down if you don't want to. Just fill in this information first. Go ahead and pause this video until you are ready. So what you need to do is you need to have this all written out on your paper with the tick marks drawn and the numbers listed. And when you are ready, you can unpause the video and we're going to talk about how we can put the data on this line plot. But please pause until you are ready. Okay. So now that we have drawn our line plot out, here's where we're going to put our data. So plant 1 is 4.5 inches tall. So I'm going to find the 4.5 inch mark, and I'm going to put 1 X right above that because that X represents a plant. Okay. Plant 2 is 6 inches tall. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put an X above the 6. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you are making a line plot is I know that as humans, we are not perfect in our drawings, and it's not always easy to make everything the same size. But you want to try to make your X's all about the same size, and as you stack them on top of each other, try to stack them evenly so you can easily see the data. I know that can be tricky sometimes. Plant number 3 is 3.5 inches. So where do you think you're going to put your X? Okay. If you guessed right above the 3.5, you are correct. Now, go ahead and plot these last 3 on your own, and then I will show you what it should look like, and you can compare yours. I'm going to give you a moment to try that. Okay. Plant 4 is 4.5 inches, so this one gets another X. Plant number 5 is 6 inches, so that one gets another X. Plant number 6 is 3 inches, and that's the first X that one gets. So, if you look at my line plot, I can see that I have 6 plants plotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right off the bat, I can easily and quickly see that one plant is 3 inches tall, one plant is 3.5 inches tall. There are no plants that are 4 inches tall. 2 plants are 4.5 inches tall. There are no plants that are 5 or 5.5 inches tall. And there are 2 plants that are 6 inches tall. Now, number your paper from 1 to 4, and we are going to answer these questions. In fact, you're going to answer them on your own. I'm going to have this sitting here. I'm going to ask you to pause the video. I'd like you to try to answer each question, and then you're going to check your work against mine in a moment. So go ahead and pause, and then I will share your answers. I will share the correct answers with you. Okay, if you have not actually paused the video, please do so because you're going to need more time to work. And I am going to now review the answers that you should have gotten. So, number 1. Question is, how many plants are 4 inches or taller? That's really important. So they're either going to be 4 inches or taller than that. So I need to look at anything that is 4 or larger. So I'm going to ignore everything that comes before the 4. And I'm going to see these are all of the plants that are either 4 inches or taller. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 plants that are 4 inches or taller. Okay. Number 2, what is the height of the tallest plant? Okay. There are no plants that are any taller than 6 inches, or else there would have been higher numbers on here. So the height of the tallest plant would have to be 6 inches. Notice that I'm labeling my answers so that you know what I'm referring to. Number 3, what is the height of the shortest plant? Okay. The shortest plant is only 3 inches. Okay. There is one plant that is 3 inches tall. And number 4, which plant height occurs most often? This is interesting because I can quickly and easily see on my graph that there are actually 2 plant heights that occur most often. So in this case, there will be 2 answers. So 4.5 inches and 6 inches are the 2 heights that occur most often, because I can quickly see that in this one there are 2 plants that are 4.5 inches tall, and here there are 2 plants that are 6 inches tall. So those are the ones that occur the most often. Okay. Now, your job is going to be to complete this line plot worksheet on your own. I will be putting a copy of it on your menu for you, so you will be able to see it fully there, but I just want to go over a few things with you to give you a couple hints. So, a class of 4th graders started a gardening project. Each student added an X to the line plot below to show how much his or her plant grew in 1 month. Read the data, then answer the questions below. So, this is also about the growth of plants. Now, just because the last 2 line plots that we're doing are about plant heights doesn't mean that every line plot is going to be measuring plant heights. You could be measuring the length of pencils. You could be measuring the length of different playgrounds. There's all kinds of different things that you could be measuring the size of or the length of. So just keep that in mind. You could be measuring the length of different worms that you find outside. So here we have plant growth in feet after 1 month. Okay, and these are shown in fractions. So you could have 1/12 of a foot, 2/12 of a foot, 3/12 of a foot, and so on. All the way to 12/12 of a foot, which would be 1 whole foot. Right? 12/12 is 1 foot tall. So as you can quickly see, there are no plants in this graph that are a foot tall. They're all under 1 foot tall. Okay, and 1 foot would be 12 inches. So all of these plants are fairly short still, but they've only been growing for a month. You're going to answer all of these questions. So you're going to want to number your blank paper from 1 to 8 so that you can answer the questions on your paper. And you'll then be transferring your answers onto the Google form like we often do. Okay? I'm going to just go over a couple of the problems that may be tricky for you. I think that you can definitely do number 1 without any extra help. Let's look at number 2. How many plants grew? Oh, that one I think we can do too. Let's look at number 3. This is the one I wanted to review with you in case you may need some hints. How many plants grew to be 7/12 to 9/12 of a foot tall? Basically what they're saying is how many of the plants were anywhere between 7/12 and 9/12 of a foot. So you would be looking at the plants that are 7/12, 8/12, or 9/12. Okay? For number 5, this one I want to go over as well. What is the difference between the tallest plant and the smallest plant? We're looking for the difference between. Remember that when we're looking for the difference, we will be subtracting. So you have to figure out where is the tallest plant, how many 12ths of an inch is the tallest plant, and how many 12ths of an inch is the shortest plant. They called it the smallest, but same idea. You have to find the difference between the two. So, the tallest plant would be 10/12 of an inch, because there is one plant that's that tall. The shortest plant is 2/12 of an inch, because there's a plant that's that short. So we want to know what the difference in height is between those two plants, between 10/12 and 2/12. And you have to subtract to figure that out. Number 6, more plants grew to be blank than any other height. Basically, they just want to know what is the height of the tallest plants. Or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I should not have said that. That is not what they're asking. They want to know which height was the most common height. So I apologize. I didn't mean to confuse you there. So if you look at the height of all these different plants, which one occurred the most often? That's basically what they're asking. Sorry about that, boys and girls. Even teachers make mistakes. Okay, so number 7. This one is where a problem where you have to really kind of think about what would make sense and interpret the results for yourself. So the question says 4 of the plants died about a week into the project. Circle the X's that you think represent the plants that didn't make it. So of all of these X's here, 4 of these plants were actually dead by the time the month was over. They actually died a week into the project. Which 4 do you think died? What would make the most sense to you as to which 4 are the ones that died? And after you'll circle them on your paper, or you might just write down which 4 plants died. And then I want you to explain your reasoning. Why do you think those are the ones that died? Okay. And then number 8 just asks you to check your work. So they want to make sure that you're labeling, whether you're indicating whether something is plants, students, or feet. So like, for example, in the first question, the question was about how many students, so you would label your answer as students. The second question asks how many plants, you would be labeling your answer as plants. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you're labeling your work. Okay? Good luck, and don't forget to fill out the Google form.